And welcome to another very late installment of the Ask Nico Q&A. I am so sorry, guys, for pretty much taking the entirety of April off. As you know, I moved, I had the retreat, and I got very, very busy. And I'm actually trying to change the format a little bit because I want to I guess you could say, get into a place where it's, there's a certain kind of Q&A for the recorded Q&A, and something for more of the people that are asking very personal astrology chart questions. I want to have a special venue for you guys as well. So, with that being said, mark your calendars, astrology Q&A people, okay, on the 19th of May. So, May 19th, Tuesday, I'm actually going to be doing a live Google Hangout Q&A. It's going to be at 4 p.m. Pacific time. For those of you who don't know, I live in Seattle. So 4 p.m. Pacific time, which is going to be 7 p.m. Eastern time, which is going to be midnight for my friends and all the fun people that I've met out in the UK. Okay, so you can kind of adjust your clocks to that. If you have a very personal astrology question that might not be good for a subjective Q&A, but excellent for an astrology-based Q&A, you want to go there. I'm going to be on live for 1 hour answering any and all astrology-related questions, things you might have about your chart, things that you might be having questions about in your own learning experience. 4 p.m. Pacific time, Tuesday, May 19th, okay? You want to come back here, all right? So let's get started. Remember, if you want to ask a question, please leave the question in the comment box below. Don't put the question on a horoscope. Don't put the question on a horoscope because a lot of notifications come in and it just, if I go on, it's going to be hard to find. So put it in the comment box below, or you can get a hold of me on my Facebook page, Scarlet Moon Facebook page, or you can tweet at me at Scarlet Moon Nico. Those are much, much better. So let's get started with the questions. Matthew asks, what is that yellow thing around your neck? Every once in a while it makes an odd appearance in one of your horoscopes. It's kind of frilly, but maybe it's a cord or a necklace. I just gotta know, my OCD goes crazy when it pops out of your shirt. This is, right here. This is actually a cord that is, for those of you who follow Tibetan Buddhism, this is actually a cord that is blessed by the Dalai Lama, okay? And the last time the Dalai Lama came to the US, into Seattle, these were actually being given out as offerings according to what might be sort of picked up spiritually, what that person might need. They have red ones for protection and purification. The yellow one is for physical vitality and sort of, I guess you could say, energetic replenishment is the best way to describe it. Lama actually kind of looked at me and said, you look depleted. I feel that there is a crowd of people sort of taking your energy. And when I explained what I did, it made a lot more sense to him. I wasn't being victimized. This is just what kind of happens, so, and that can happen a lot, especially if you do things publicly, like on, on YouTube, or if you are giving readings to a ton of people, or especially if you're doing energy healings for a ton of people, maybe, this is before I started routinely calling my energy back to myself. I know, silly mistake not to do that regularly. This guy, he just kind of hooked it up, so I've been wearing it ever since, and most people don't take it off unless like surgery or something like that. So, I may take it off eventually, but we'll see. But I'll just leave it right here. So, Lauren asks, do you have any advice for emphatic healers, social workers, etc., for staying in tune with themselves, especially when a draining workflow day week includes day-to-day and management business has transpired? And any tips towards investing the same level of attention they have given clients slash constituents to bring healing energy into their body, mind, and spirit? Thank you, Nico. Okay. Yes, I do. First, check out my video on compassion fatigue. If you are a social worker or, a helper or a professional helper of any kind, You need to become familiar with that term, compassion fatigue. When you are routinely helping people who are constantly in crisis, be careful not to let your mind start to associate everything in the world as just being bad news. You know, it's kind of like sometimes with tarot readings, you know, a great deal of the time people aren't coming to me because things are going great. You know, sometimes they are, sometimes they want to know if a good thing's going to last, and that's great. But a lot of the times, you know, you're also dealing with people who are, you know, who are in a difficult place. And the same would go for if you're a counselor. Be careful of compassion fatigue. I would also say, you know, when it comes to staying in tune with yourself, you really do need to not get down on yourself for being a giver in the first place. In fact, I have been in a funk myself the past few days, and I realized a big part of it has to do with the fact that I think that successful and, I guess you could say, active givers are kind of given a bad rap or not enough love nowadays, and I kind of feel like there's a lot of tips that are going to be coming out of that video as well. It's not just a rant. But I would say that if I were you, let's talk about, you know, calling back your energy, routinely calling back your energy to bring spirit, you know, to bring healing into your own body, mind, and spirit. Because, you know, funny enough, if you are calling back your energy routinely, it's actually going to help you out more than you think. We can always go out and find new energy, yes, but one of the things is that we also need to pull back the cord that maybe actually gets caught between us and the other person when we get invested in, you know, in their well-being as well. Which is not wrong, except for the fact that that's not a friend or a family member or a spouse or a boyfriend. This is a stranger or a client, you know, and eventually that relationship does have to end and have sterner boundaries, you know. So that's what I would say in a nutshell. I could go on about this forever, and that's why it's getting a special video, and don't worry, it'll be coming out soon. Victoria, she has a question. I have a question about scrying and shapes. I don't know who is better for this question, you or Chris. I was looking up tatwas or elemental shapes in Sanskrit. A deck of cards came up and confused me. What would you know about scrying with shapes and a deck of cards with shapes on them? I'm fascinated to say the least, but wanted to consult an expert. Holler at me when you can, and I hope you are marvelous. I hope you're marvelous too, sweetheart. Well, when it comes to the shape itself, just like anything else, elemental shapes, sigils, you know, Sanskrit mudras and things like that, what we're really doing here is that it's a practice of being able to actually focus on that shape to the exclusivity of all else. When you look at concepts of art forms, be it tarot, sacred geometry, tatwas, things like that, what's happening here is that you are allowing, you know, with your focus, all other things to kind of go away. Pay attention to what's going on in the back of your mind, not the front of your mind. That might sound kind of strange, but people who are channelers, people who are receiving intuitive messages, listening to their inner guidance, you'll notice your inner guidance is going to take on a different tone, a different voice, and that's kind of where the energy is coming through here. It's just like reading tarot cards. You can probably pick up a lot from that where you're getting images, or if you're more clairaudient, you may be hearing things. If I were to scry into, say, you know, it's no different than, say, scrying into a crystal. You know, a crystal itself, I'm basically attuning myself to the vibration of either, again, the shape, the image, and things like that. And certain images and shapes do actually work better for other things. Scrying into triangles is excellent for things like far-seeing or predicting the future. Scrying into circles as well. Scrying into squares can be great for examining the body. And so I feel like this is a really good opportunity for you to, you know, to develop that, to develop that skill. But what you want to do is to make sure that, you know, when you've connected to the triangle, that you're not thinking about being connected to the triangle. You make the connection, you let it go, and almost let it imprint into you. You know, turn that energy inward so you can actually get that information. Melissa asks, I have two different questions for the next Q&A. First one is, if I do tarot forecast reading for my sun sign, moon sign, and rising sign, will I get a comprehensive reading or just be confused? If it's not too private, how and when did you start practicing witchcraft as your spiritual path in life? First one is basically when it comes to doing your sun, moon, and ascendant sign, this can definitely be comprehensive, not confused. And I do have a video on horoscopes, frequently asked questions, but I'll give you the rundown. Your sun sign, think of the sun sign as like the weather, okay? And this applies to astrology as well. The sun sign is the weather. If you look outside, you know, and you see it's raining outside, your sun sign is going to tell you whether it's rainy or whether it's sunny, if that makes sense. Your ascendant, your rising sign, is going to tell you a little bit more, but also, again, help you get more comprehensive and build on that. What is causing the sun sign to happen, or how something comes to you. It's almost like the traffic that's going on. So let's say we did a tarot card reading and we got something bad, like or something scary, for instance, like the Three of Swords for our finances sector. Alright, you know, for work, and it's kind of like, oh crap, the Three of Swords, a card of betrayal and heartache, that's no good. And then you look at your ascendant sign, and then you get the Four of Wands upright. And so the Four of Wands is a card of good fortune and celebration. So now we gotta be critical thinkers here. It's like, okay, some kind of good fortune or celebration causes causes a sense of betrayal or an atmosphere of betrayal. And then we look at the moon sign, and then we finally see how you end up being emotionally impacted by that. Which is basically, let's say you got then the Ten of Pentacles. Ten of Pentacles, not a bad card. But what might happen here is that with the sense of betrayal, with the Three of Swords, like a betrayal will happen because of a cause for celebration. Because of a good thing, a betrayal will happen, but you will feel fantastic, because the Ten of Pentacles is one of the best cards in the deck. So we're looking at that, and now it's kind of like, oh, okay, so there may be a sense of betrayal, but it may be in the environment because either A, something good happened to me, or something good is happening no matter what, but there is a sense of betrayal going on in the company, if that makes sense. And in regards to how and when did I start practicing witchcraft, I started practicing witchcraft in 1997. I've always grown up in a very, I guess you could say, non-religious family. My father was raised Catholic, so of course he's atheist now, because he went to Catholic school. And then my stepmother is, she's kind of eclectic in her own way. Her grandmother practiced a lot of Santeria and Haitian voodoo. And my biological mother, funny enough, was actually a fairly prominent, like, paranormal investigator and medium here in the Pacific Northwest throughout Seattle, Washington, Oregon, and Vancouver, BC. She and I we do not have a connection though, so don't go asking about if I know where she is, because I don't know where she is. But that was something that also came, that my dad used to talk about after I got into this. He brought it up as well. So that was kind of an interesting coincidence there, but I met her once when I was 22, and then that was about it. That only lasted about three months, so there's more personal in there for you. But I kind of got into it that way, and there was a friend of mine that I met when I was 12, 13, his name was Jared, and he also got me into that as well. And he was a little bit more of, I guess you could say, like of the ceremonial magician variety. So I know a lot about the ceremonial magician side, but I ended up going my own eclectic way after a short period. So that's a lot. I gotta do a video about that. Mythic Rare asks, a few weeks ago, a classmate was talking to me about something, and they were trying to attach a psychic cord to me in my heart chakra. I wasn't okay with it, and prevented it from attaching. Why do people form cords with others, and what does it mean when these cords are targeting certain chakras? Loaded question. Well, not loaded, but it's a tough question. When it comes to why do people form cords? People form cords when they're trying to establish a false connection, at least when they're trying to force a cord. Now, cords happen to more than just people. We can get corded to a property, we can get corded to an object, we can get corded to people who have already passed on and died. But what happens in this instance, if a person is actually deliberately trying to establish it, a lot of that happens when a person is trying to project a lot of energy onto a situation where they are trying to either, again, kind of persuade you or assuage you. Or maybe if a person is really interested in you, they're really attracted to you, and they're trying to reach out kind of psychically, telepathically, and push a lot of energy at you, or they're focusing a lot of attention to pull energy towards you. In that process, because they're not practiced, they will create a cord. Some people who are practice create chords, but again, that's kind of a malefic reason, you know, again, it's the need to kind of control people. When it happens to the heart chakra, it all depends on which chakra. Maybe I should do another video about that because I don't have time to go through all 7. But when it happens to the heart chakra, it usually happens when a person is trying to extract sympathy, empathy, or maybe compliance, agreement, or something like that from you without actually just allowing it to come forth. So it's almost like they're trying to sort of attach at the heart because maybe they're insecure, or maybe they're controlling, or maybe they feel like they need your validation, or maybe they are suffering from a lot of painful heart chakra stuff itself. I do believe the 7 chakras and what we call the classical 7 sins have a relationship, and usually a person who is really stuck in a place of envy, or a person who is stuck in a place of, you know, of resentment, has a lot of heart chakra illness going on there. And when you don't have a strong heart chakra, sometimes you do try and take heart chakra energy from other people, almost like an involuntary blood donation. So that's it for today's questions, guys. Really good questions. I love it when we have just like a ton of diverse stuff here. So this is really awesome. Thanks a lot so much for all your support and your patience with me. I hope you like this. Don't forget to ask questions below if you have questions. And again, mark your calendars, Tuesday the 19th, Astrology Question People. I will be live for an hour, 4 p.m. Pacific. I'll talk to you later.